Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, as you know that a new topic which we started off in a Zoom meeting was blood pressure, and we discussed some of the concepts. And what are those concepts? Like definition, we elaborated the definition quite well in our face-to-face lecture, that the pressure exerted by the blood laterally on the walls of the vessels is called blood pressure. So when blood leaves the left ventricle, it comes into aorta, and left ventricle acts as a pump because heart acts as a primer pump in the body. So the heart pumps the blood with a thrush, with a pressure. So it creates a pressure and it gives a distension to the contractile artery, which recoils and give blood a movement, a further movement in the distant parts of the artery, so that the blood can circulate throughout the body and can come back through the veins to the heart. So what we actually saw, there were two, systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure. Systolic blood pressure was the highest pressure attained in the arteries during systole, while diastolic blood pressure was the lowest arterial pressure during a diastole, and it was written like this: 120 by 80. And the units I told you were millimeter of mercury. So as the example of the ball which leaves your hand when you throw it with, if you throw a ball from this position, and your desired location or destination is this, so would the speed of the ball remain the same when it reaches here as it left your hand? No. The maximum force you have applied was at this position, and when it leaves, the maximum speed of the ball would be at this position. Then with the passage of time and the distance it covers, the speed will slow down, and until it will be very slow, and slowly it will reach to this point. That was point A, which was the origin, and this is point B, that was the destination. So it takes a lesser speed here. So as the blood, when blood leaves the left ventricle, here this is the maximum pressure, this is the lowest pressure, 120 by 80. This is the systolic blood pressure, and this is the diastolic blood pressure, and these are the larger arteries or the largest arteries. These maintain the blood pressure 120 by 80, and then they divide in branches, and there is a factor of cardiac output that greater the cross-sectional area, lesser would be the speed. So as the pressure, so this the pressure will drop down because of the division. Now the blood is accumulated, that there is a larger amount of blood. When it divides, so blood moves in different directions in different arteries, and the amount of blood in every given single artery is less as compared to these larger arteries. So the pressure decreases. So it comes down when it reaches to capillaries. This comes down to around 35 millimeter of mercury. Then capillaries, the cross-sectional area of capillaries, again very large. The cross-sectional area I'm talking about, that is around 4,500 to 6,000 centimeter square. So it gives the pressure, it actually drops the pressure around 35 millimeter of mercury. Then there is veins, and it is around zero in the vena cava. Then determinant factors of the blood pressure are cardiac output and peripheral vascular resistance. Cardiac output we have already discussed in a detailed manner. That depends on heart rate, contractility, filling pressure. Okay, the heart rate is the number of beats per minute. The heart beats per minute. So the number of beats around is 75. Contractility is the force of contraction, and the filling pressure depends on the venous return or the venous tone, the amount of blood that returns from the veins to the heart, back into the heart. So blood volume also defines the filling pressure. If that is adequate, the filling pressure will be adequate. If the blood volume is less, the filling pressure will be less. Filling pressure means the blood that is filled from the veins into the heart, back into the heart. Then there is peripheral vascular resistance, that is defined as sum of all the resistances that is offered by the vessels in the body or the peripheral vessels in the body. So this resistance is controlled by resistance vessels like arteries and arterioles. Arterioles we have already discussed have precapillary sphincters, which actually define the local which is used to meet the local tissue blood supply requirement. If greater supply is required, then this sphincter muscle relaxes and it opens up the capillaries. So there are local hormonal factors like adrenaline, like catecholamines, angiotensin II, bradykinin, nitric oxide. So all these factors contribute to, this is the detailed picture. These are the determinant factors. The cardiac output depends on these two factors, the cardiac factors and blood factors. So cardiac factors are heart rate and contractility. For example, if heart rate is around 75 beats per minute, and if heart rate is around 50 beats per minute, and if heart rate is around 100 beats per minute, all these three conditions, these will affect cardiac output. So as a contractility, greater the force of contraction, greater would be the cardiac output, because it will exert more pressure. Then there are blood volume. Blood volume, obviously we just discussed that the amount of blood. And then sodium mineralocorticoids like aldosterone and atrial natriuretic peptide ANP, that is released from atria, and when the filling pressure is greater, the heart senses that there is a greater pressure. So the atria actually get filled, and atria first, and atria transfer that blood to the ventricles. So the wall tension of atria, if increases greater than the normal, the wall or the muscles of atria release a peptide that is called atrial peptide. And since the function of that peptide is natriuresis means excretion of sodium. Natri means sodium, it is from natrium. Natriuretic means it excretes out the sodium. Once it will be in the blood, it will cause the kidneys to excrete excessive sodium. So sodium is a principal ion or cation that will affect the amount of blood, because sodium is most osmotically active. If greater quantity of sodium is present anywhere, it will draw water or attract water. So water will go there, so it will increase the volume. So the first thing, if the wall tension due to increased volume or increased filling pressure in atria is there atrial natriuretic peptide will be released from atrial wall, and it will excrete the sodium. So the body will lose sodium and it will decrease, so as the water will also be excreted out. So these two factors will affect cardiac output. If sodium is greater, this will increase cardiac output. If sodium is less, this will decrease the blood volume. So as the mineralocorticoid reabsorbs sodium and it excretes out potassium. Then the peripheral vascular resistance. This is the diagram of a blood vessel. Lumen, you can see the diameter here. The diameter of the blood vessel is considerably dilated. But what if this is the diameter of vessel A and this is the diameter of vessel B? Here is A, here is B. So this condition is called vasodilation. This is called vasoconstriction. So there are different factors, three type of factors that act on these blood vessels that can cause vasodilation and vasoconstriction. And what are those factors? There could be local factors, there could be humoral factors, and these are from the blood, and these are neural factors. These are from the nervous system. And local factors act locally, they are produced there. For example, autoregulation. When we studied cardiac output, we studied a phenomenon called autoregulation. Means every tissue has an ability to adjust its blood supply through autoregulation. If the greater amount of blood is required by a tissue, it will dilate the capillaries. So simply the blood flow towards that particular tissue will increase. The example is skeletal muscle. If you start exercising, your skeletal muscles need more amount of blood, more oxygen, so the blood supply should increase. So the local tissue will increase blood supply by dilating the precapillary sphincter, and the capillaries will fill up with the blood in a greater quantity. And on the other hand, the other tissue which doesn't require much amount of blood will be cut down of supply of the blood, like skin. But when you are sleeping, you are not running, you are sleeping, your skeletal muscles don't need that much amount of blood, so the blood supply towards your skeletal muscle will be cut down. pH, hypoxia. In hypoxia, obviously oxygen amount is less, and in hypoxic condition, in low oxygen condition, blood supply towards brain and heart will be maintained adequately. Then there are neural factors that are from nervous system, like alpha adrenergic and beta adrenergic. We just discussed in last lecture that alpha 1 receptors are located on the blood vessels, on the surface of blood vessels. So these, when activated, these will cause vasoconstriction, and when beta adrenergic receptors are activated, these will cause vasodilation. So then there are humoral factors. Humoral factors are blood related, like vasoconstrictors and vasodilators, like angiotensin 2. Angiotensin 2 as renin-angiotensin system, we will be discussing it shortly. Then catecholamines like norepinephrine, epinephrine, or adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine, dobutamine. There are many others, like but the catecholamines are norepinephrine and epinephrine, and thromboxane. Then this is released from various factors in the body, leukotrienes, endothelins. Endothelins There are two factors, like this is endothelium, or the layer of endothelium, the innermost layer of blood vessel is called endothelium. This endothelium releases several factors, including endothelin and nitric oxide. These two factors are released in different conditions by the endothelium. If endothelin is released, it will cause vasoconstriction. If nitric oxide is released, it will cause vasodilation. So then there are prostaglandins, these are dilators. So these are the factors which affect blood pressure, cardiac output and peripheral vascular resistance. So this slide also describes the previous discussion we have about blood pressure. These are the anatomical sites on which the blood pressure is being controlled, and here you can see the first site where the blood pressure is being regulated. Regulation means to be kept at optimal level. So resistance arteriole through autoregulation. Then there are capacitance vanules. Capacitance means they have an ability to hold, or the capacity to make a reserve blood, to keep the blood reserve. So vanules and veins are the capacitance vessels because they can hold extra blood, and when you need more blood, they can give off that blood. So then there is pump output of a heart that is regulated through stroke volume and cardiac output, contractility, all the factors we just discussed in previous slides. Then the kidney can be a very you can see a divergent organ which can control the blood pressure, which can regulate blood pressure through many processes like aldosterone, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone, that is RAS, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. Then it can aldosterone can regulate the kidney volume, the volume of the blood, so as the angiotensin 2 can have direct vasopressor effects. So all these factors are regulated by sympathetic nerves or CNS. Thank you very much for this discussion. In next episode we will see the short term and the long term control of the arterial blood pressure.